Hey guys, welcome to What a Kill, where we break down all your favourite horror films and figure out the best kills amongst them. I'm Steve Hall, and today we're looking at the 1974 genre-defining horror film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Directed by Tobe Hooper, this low-budget gem defined fear in the time that it was released, spawning 8 sequels including remakes and sequels and prequels and sequels to sequels and sequels to prequels. This timeline is a pretty tough one to follow. So this first film follows a bunch of kids that are making a cross-country trip that wander too far off the beaten path and find a family of cannibals. And, of course, the iconic Leatherface. Despite a number of really strange entries into the series, and I do mean strange, but Leatherface still endures as one of cinema's most brutal and iconic killers. So, let's get into this. The film opens with a badass title crawl that actually predates the other one that you might know about. It boasts of a true story, which is really taking liberties because these films are actually very loosely based on the infamous serial killer Ed Gein, who used to rob graves and make furniture out of the bodies that he dug up. Which is actually what we hear on screen as we hear the radio broadcast describing the brutal grave robbings, which sets up a really nice creep factor that's unfortunately never revisited in the series, which it's a shame. Title. After a bizarre scene that I really can't tell if it's played for laughs or not, I'd like to think that it is. This brings us into our main characters. Sally Hardesty, her brother Franklin, her boyfriend Jerry, her best friend Pam and her boyfriend Kirk. We learn that they're on their way to an old home in Texas. You know, where the massacre happens. Pam goes on about some Zodiac bullshit that was all the rage in the 70s. Apparently Mercury was in retrograde.
Influence now because it's in retrograde.
Hey man, you believe all that stuff your old lady's hawking me?
They stop at a local cemetery so Sally can put her mind at ease about her grandfather's grave being vandalized, where they run into some very colourful folk.
I see things.
In serious retrograde. So we're back on the road again, but this time the group picks up a very strange looking hitchhiker that honestly kind of looks like a crackhead. I don't know why they pick him up. Things take a turn when he pulls out a little knifey knife. It's a pretty knife. What are you going to do with it? He babbles crazily and takes a picture of them before he demands then that they pay for it.
Take me to my house. I live right off this road. You can have dinner with us. You can pay me now. Huh? $2. It's a good picture.
Oh, see, I told you. Crackhead. So they shove his crazy ass out of the van in what must be the slowest getaway that I've ever seen as he smears blood all over the side of the van. Shaken from the whole thing, Pam tries to regale everyone again with some more Zodiac bullshit. Seriously, Sam. Pam?
Oh no. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn.
So the gang pull into a gas station to fill her up, but a coy boy, who might just have some damn good barbecue, tells them that his tanks are bone dry.
I got no gas. My tank's empty. I got some good barbecue here. Why don't you fellas stick around here a while?
So they decide to drive back towards where they dropped the crackhead off.
Come on, Sally, we're going out to Grandpa's place.
They just barely make it to this old derelict house. Okay, so let's stop it there for a second. Let's think about this. We've had a few things really nicely set up for us. We know that there is a crazy person digging up graves or people. The gang's mystery machine is out of gas or thereabouts. There's a crazy crackhead with a knifey knife around. The sun is about to set and we are far from anywhere except this abandoned house. Now that means that when things go wrong, we as an audience won't question why they're not just driving off into the night or running into the open fields. It's some really good, effective storytelling. Anyway, let's get back to it. So the gang are... Wait. What is Franklin eating? Ew. So the gang enter the house, leaving Franklin to hoist himself in, which is a pretty dick move, guys. But seriously, this place is disgusting. Nothing remotely romantic or enticing or nice about these popcorn spiders, as I call them. Pretty damn good sound effect, though. So Franklin is left downstairs alone and suddenly just decides to turn into a 3-year-old throwing a tantrum.
Come on, Franklin. It's gonna be a fun trip. If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm gonna be able to take it.
Anyway, these stupid sexy people want to go and do stupid sexy things. So when they go downstairs, Franklin tells Pam and Kirk about a nearby lake, and the two go off to do, you guessed it, stupid sexy things.
Must be it.
They find no lake, but do wander towards the sound of a generator from a nearby house. Maybe they can buy some fuel for their mystery machine. Something that I must say about this film is that they make damn good use of a dolly. Even if it's a bit unmotivated at times, it really adds production value to this low-budget classic. Pam sits outside the house while Kirk explores inside, knocking, then entering. Now the film has been pretty slow up until here, but boom! We have our first kill at 35 minutes with a sledgehammer to the head from none other than Leatherface himself. They played it super raw in the scene, with just hearing Leatherface squealing and the body jumping around on the floor before my man Leatherface slams that door shut. So Pam searches for Kirk inside the house, where she stumbles upon a room filled with bones and furniture made from the bones, and it's all kicking off now in true Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer fashion. It's really sick stuff. She tries to flee the house, but Leatherface catches her on the front porch and drags her back inside, where he hangs her on a meat hook. Now the funny thing here is this is one of the reasons why the film was banned back in the day, but you never actually see her go on the hook. It's all implied. It's just really clever. But here we are, we're finally introduced to the saw. Where Pam is forced to watch Leatherface dismember Kirk in a slicey chainsaw slice. As evening falls, Jerry goes to look for Kirk and Pam, where he finds the house and goes inside and enters a back room, and of course finds Pam locked in a freezer, barely alive, but since we don't see her again, we'll count this as a kill at 45 minutes. It was kind of a letdown because you don't really see her die, it's just back in the fridge. But then Leatherface jumps in and smashes Jerry in the head with his sledgehammer. At this stage, we can call the film Texas Sledgehammer Massacre. Even though we don't see Jerry die, I'm going to count him as a death at 46 minutes, but again, kind of sucks that we don't really see it on screen. Franklin and Sally argue about going to search for the others.
We ought to go to that gas station and get help.
I'm not leaving you without Jerry.
Eventually end up with Sally trying to push Franklin along an uneven forest trail, and he's a big dude, so fair play to Sally. Go on.
Sally, I hear something. Stop. Stop.
But then all of a sudden Leatherface leaps from the shadows and murders Franklin with a chainsaw in the chest at 52 minutes. Yes, finally a chainsaw kill. So Sally runs into the dark woods, Leatherface in hot pursuit, and she's endlessly chased through the woods by Leatherface wielding a chainsaw in one of the most relentless chase scenes in cinema history. Oh, okay, thank God. Sally finds a house. It's Leatherface's house, isn't it? Oh, shit. So she races inside and upstairs all the way into the attic and finds some pretty weird beings. There's Grandma, there's Grandpa of course, and Doggo, I think. Catto? Doggo? But in all the horror, Sally is attacked by Leatherface and leaps through the window upstairs trying to escape. She runs into the woods again and keeps running until she finds the gas station from before. There she finds our Coy boy who loves to barbecue. He consoles her for a moment, but then the salty dog Coy boy smacks her with the broom and in a great moment walks the line between bizarre and kind of hilarious and tells her, get in the bag. So then he shoves her in his truck and he's wait. This salty dog Coy boy is an electricity conscious, hippy trippy dippy, save the environment type. Good.
Cost electricity is enough to drive a man out of business.
Then he drives her back to the house and of course we see the resident crackhead.
Look what your brother did to that dog!
We see that Sally is tied up at a dinner table with the hitchhiker crackhead, the salty dog Coy boy, hippy trippy dippy barbecue man, and of course Leatherface. They're all one cannibalistic family. And then they bring down Grandpa. You might recognize him from the Enter Sandman music video. Now this guy is barely alive and they give him a taste of her blood just to get the juices flowing, you know? One of the weird things about this scene is that they really did cut her. There was a fail with the blood on the day and they were getting really frustrated with the scene, so Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface, just decided to cut her. Nice. Sally is physically and verbally tormented by the demented family for what seems like hours. And Leatherface is sporting a nice new outfit and a lovely new face from the fall line this year. So back to Grandpa, he's off to beat her head in with Leatherface's favourite hammer.
Grandpa's the best killer there ever was.
Again, Texas Sledgehammer Massacre. This again is where they walk that fine line of bizarre creepiness and hilarity, because we've got a lot of time here with him picking up the hammer, dropping it and picking it up and trying to hit her in the head. And while we're watching this happen, I can't help but think that if there was a woman in the house, there maybe wouldn't be, you know, lampshades made of heads. Anyway, the crackhead decides to grab the hammer and give Grandpa a little bit of a hand. In all confusion, Sally breaks free and jumps through the window again, because she doesn't know how to use the door. So Sally runs to the road with Leatherface and the crackhead chasing her. But an 18-wheeler drives by and runs the crackhead over, even though it seems like he had a lot of time to move out of the way. Nonetheless, we have a kill at 1 hour and 19 minutes. Leatherface runs at Sally, chainsaw ablaze. The driver of the 18-wheeler helps Sally into the truck, but good old Leatherface starts going at the door with his saw. They climb out the other side and Leatherface chases them, so the truck driver grabs a wrench and throws it at Leatherface's head. Bink! This causes Leatherface to fall to the floor and his chainsaw to slice into his leg. And quite suddenly, for what seems to be quite a remote road, another car passes and Sally flags it down and jumps into the back, leading to one of my favourite final girl shots in any horror film. As she is driven away, she laughs hysterically as Leatherface swings his chainsaw in frustration in another piece of iconic horror cinema. One of the best bits of this film for me are the truly deranged people that occupy the screen. They are crazy, they're horrific, and they're wacky, but they're never too silly. And this for me is best summed up in the scene with Grandpa and the hammer. The poor guy just can't keep it up and follow through. And something that didn't work for me is Franklin, just overall. He ends up being whiny, childish, and just a little prick that you ultimately want Leatherface to kill sooner.
Franklin, I like meat. Please change the subject. That's terrible. It's too...
So here we have it. The What a Kill for Best Kill goes to Kirk's death. The very first kill of the film just has something about it. Maybe it's the lack of bells and whistles, but the scene is so raw, with an incredibly physical performance from the actor William Vale. It truly feels like a barbaric murder that shows you how vicious the series' mainstay is right out of the gate. Leatherface, you one sick son of a bitch. But what do you think? Do you like Franklin a little bit more than me? But most importantly, what's your favourite kill? Comment down below, and when we finish the film series, we'll rank all the kills through all the films. So there it is, the true Leatherface and the film that launched 1,000 slasher films, including my own. Next week we'll be checking out Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where we'll meet franchise favourite Chop Top. But until then, this has been What a Kill. Thank you so much for watching. This is the first video on my new channel, Movie Mayhem. This is the first episode of What a Kill, and we're going to start things off by tackling the full Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. So if you want to see more, make sure you click that subscribe button for more Movie Mayhem. Now make sure you come back next week where we win Best Chili in the County, because it's all about the meat.